Hi, I'm Shruti Srinivas Raghavan talking about version control systems and information foraging perspective. Here's the problem. Developers routinely seek information in their version control repositories, but doing so can be quite tedious. Can information foraging help this problem? That's the question we ask. Uh, Information foraging theory is a theory of how people seek information. The theory says people seek information similar to how predatory animals find their prey. So there is a predator, such as a developer, seeking information prey among patches of information, such as commits. A predator can go from one patch to another via links, such as clickable links or scroll. Links are often associated with certain cues, such as words in commit messages, and a predator sniffs these cues and uses the scent to find their prey, similar to how animals sniff, say, fur bits. Now, IFT also explains why animals follow scent. The predator wants to maximize the amount of valuable information gained for the cost spent during the foraging, and scent following is basically a way to estimate this value cost ratio. So we applied this theory to qualitative data that we had on version control systems information seeking. And here's what we found. The first result is about foraging for change awareness. Here, participants did not want to read every single comment, but they wanted to know about the important ones. And this selectivity is exactly what IFT predicts. To maximize the value cost ratio, IFT says that foragers will only include high value information as part of their information diet and leave out all low value information, even though the low value information is found in abundance. And this ability of IFT to accurately predict change awareness foraging suggests that the theory applies to change awareness foraging. But then change awareness foraging was also different from traditional foraging behaviors seen in other domains in the past. For example, traditional foraging was meant for task completion, whereas in change awareness foraging, there's no task to complete. The foraging happens so the predator can avoid, say, future costs such as merge conflicts. The second one is in traditional foraging, the prey was hard to find, whereas in change awareness foraging, the list of commits is just easily available. Then in traditional foraging, a predator found and consumed the prey immediately. Whereas in change awareness foraging, some information, the awareness is needed immediately for some changes, say breaking changes, whereas for the other ones, they could be deferred to, say, the end of the day. And finally, in traditional foraging, a predator spent a lot of cost gaining detailed awareness of the information. Gaining detailed information. Whereas in change awareness foraging, the predator adopted a lightweight approach where they spent less cost, such as less time, but only skimming through changes, so less detail. Still high value, so still high value by cost ratio, but then not a lot of cost spent. And this lightweight foraging is something we've not seen before. And so one opportunity for us, for researchers, is to kind of model this lightweight foraging and understand it really well so we can build better tools for change awareness. Another opportunity is in bulk change awareness, such as when people come back from vacation or on large projects where they have several dozen commits made in a day. So here again, people wanted a lightweight way, like low cost, less detailed, but they could not do low cost because there were just a lot of commits that they had to go through one by one. So here's a tool opportunity. The second kind of foraging that participants engaged in was to look for specific information, such as when a bug was introduced. And here participants engaged in traditional foraging behaviors. And so prior IFT insights from other literature in software engineering and other domains are directly applicable when designing version control tools for these kinds of activities. I'll not get into these in depth in the interest of time and move on to the next one. So the third kind of activity that participants engaged in is not about current foraging, but about creating commits and writing commit messages that will enable future foraging activities. Consider creating commits. Some participants preferred smaller topical commits because it's going to be easy to, say, debug or to prune out changes, whereas the others preferred larger commits because it's going to be easier to review those changes. Similarly, with commit messages, some participants preferred shorter commit messages, whereas the others preferred larger ones, both for good reason. So there's these tensions between these conflicting needs because they're both right, and doing one is going to hurt the other one. Another kind of tension is, should I spend a lot of time now perfecting the perfect commits and commit messages, or should I do the best now I can and then deal with some of the costs at a later date? So these kinds of tensions, participants found it hard to deal with. Um, and they're definitely hard to balance, but we do need to balance them if we want to create good commits and commit messages to actually enable foraging for various kinds of foraging activities. And so the question is, how can we balance these tensions and satisfy these conflicting needs? One way is to say this is a design problem. So we'll capture fine-grained information on all changes, and provide tools and affordances where developers can see those changes at various levels of detail for various kinds of activities that they want to do. That's a research opportunity. And another way is to go the theoretical route and say, okay, so what does IFT tell us about balancing these tensions? Well, classic IFT does not really tell us much by way of balancing these tensions. A variant of IFT called social IFT actually might answer some of these questions. For example, so social IFT deals with how people forage when they are part of this collaborative group, such as software teams. And so social IFT has been applied to problems like what's the optimal team size, because small teams means less work done but better communication, whereas large teams means there's a higher communication overhead. So and so social IFT actually acknowledges some of these tensions that come when you have to make these two changes, make one of these two choices. And so we think one opportunity going forward would be to take a framework like social IFT and apply it to some of these creating commits tensions. And so once we do that, we might be able to better understand how to balance these tensions and maybe build better tools for authoring commits and commit messages. And that brings us to the end of the talk. So we spoke about three things: foraging for change awareness, which is different from traditional foraging, then foraging for specific information, and finally creating commits and balancing these tensions. Thank you.